Hello, 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 everybody. Root Beer here, and I'm going to be looking at the Canadian Open paper from the year 2011 in this video. Well, not just this video, but the next few videos. So, the Open paper, it's had a fun bit of history. In 2011 is when it changed hands from being made by the CEMC to, I think, just the CMS. If we take a look at the paper, here, the CMS logo features quite prominently up here. So, I think they're the only ones running it. I think it used to sort of be shared. CMS would promote it and the CMC would make it. I'm not sure of the details. I know there was a bit of a split in 2010, 2011. I do not honestly know what about. I think about maybe about who gets how much money, because students, or at least schools, do pay for the contest. I don't know. I don't really care about math contest drama. All I know is that there was a split, and the University of Waterloo decided to make their own paper, which is why 2011 is the first year of the CIMC and the CSMC, the Canadian Intermediate and Senior Math Contest. But the Open kept going along, just with, I think, a slightly different team making up the questions. And if you compare the 2011 to the 2010 paper, they do look a little different, but you can also see some similarities. But I thought this is a perfect place to jump in and start looking at the Opens, because these are the ones that are going to be most familiar in terms of form to the ones that you might be writing now. If I get through all these and I got nothing else to do, I might do some of the older Opens, because more math contests is never bad. Okay? It always gives us, even the grade 7, 8 papers that I do, you know, they're not challenging, but you know, every once in a while it's good to sharpen your skills and take a look at things. So don't always just look at what's at your grade level. I swear I'm going to get to a contest question, but I always remember when I was going through some math enrichment programs, and some of the really smart kids in grade 12, because I wasn't anywhere near grade 12 at the time. But I walked in on them one day, and they were in the separate classroom, and they had gotten, I think, a grade 6 level math contest, and they were just racing through it. These two, probably the two smartest mathematicians I knew at the time, and they were just racing through it for the fun of it to see who could finish first. And as they were marking, everyone was like, ooh, ah, when somebody had raced too fast and messed up a grade 6 level question. But you know, even that can be fun and interesting and engaging. Anyway, back to the paper. You can get a copy of this paper by clicking the very first link down in the description below. And it'll look exactly like this. And I like the booklets that they have now, because unlike the Waterloo booklets, I could write here if I wanted to. But my solutions and rough work will probably take a lot more space, so I will just switch back to my regular notepad. As with any contest that you're going to write, it's a good idea to know the instructions before you get there. So I would recommend that you read these instructions, or any instructions for how the contest is laid out. So this one has a part A, B, and C parts. Each one consists of 4 questions, and the marks do increase, and the questions increase in difficulty as well. Okay, and the last few questions you do need to give full solutions to, and you should always write at least a little bit everywhere, but certainly the part C questions, you have to be very good, justify everything you write down. Electronics like calculators not allowed, always a good thing to know. On the Waterloo multiple choice contests, actually I think in all Waterloo contests, calculators are allowed, but not on the Open paper, so I will be putting my beloved calculator off to the side. Hopefully we won't need it. Well, we better not need it, because we won't be allowed to use it. But there we go. And, you know, I'll let you read the rest of the instructions if you would like to. But I think it's high time I actually did a question. So I'll do one question per video, so we're just going to do part A, question 1 in this video. It's going to be kind of short. Almost always, when you're writing a contest, the first question is the easiest. But what have we got here? If r is a number so that r squared minus 6r plus 5 equals 0, so it solves this quadratic, what is the value of r minus 3 squared? Now you might be puzzling for a moment. Okay, it's a quadratic, and in general a quadratic has 2 roots. So shouldn't it matter which r I'm choosing to satisfy this equation? And you might think that. if we were to quickly try and solve this, either by factoring or the quadratic formula, we'd get two numbers that multiply to 5 and add to negative 6. That's going to be negative 5, negative 1. R is going to be 1 or 5. Well, which one do I use? Well, if you check, 1 minus 3 is going to be negative 2. Negative 2 squared is 4. And 5 minus 3 is going to be 2. And 2 squared is also 4. So it doesn't matter either way. 4 is the answer. Now, you could have avoided this wondering which R do I need to use sort of thing if you'd realized, if you just sort of expanded, you know, R minus 3 squared is what? Well, it's R squared minus 6R plus 9. And that's just 4 more than the expression they tell me about. And they tell us in the question that this is 0, so I don't need to know what R is to get the final answer of 4. So that's two ways to do the question. Solving for R's, and that's fine, or finding a way to use the properties of R that we know without actually using R. But regardless, our final answer for this question would be a 4. I can't remember if nowadays they have a little box down here, if I'm mistaken that with the Euclid. But we would definitely want to put 4 and make that very apparent that that is our final answer. Okay, so that's part A, question 1. That's going to be the start of our 2011 open paper. Up next will be question number 2. Join me if you would like. Have a wonderful day.